The text came through at 2:47 p.m. while I was presenting quarterly projections to the board of directors. My phone was face down on the conference table, and I watched the screen light up through the gap. Professional instinct told me to ignore it. Gut instinct told me to check it immediately. I should have listened to my gut. My name is Connor Matthews. I'm 39 years old, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I thought I had a pretty solid grip on my life. I ran a mid-sized digital marketing firm in Austin, Texas. Built it from nothing over 12 years. We had 47 employees, clients in 6 states, and enough revenue that I could finally afford the kind of life my parents never had growing up. But success in business doesn't mean anything when your personal life is built on a foundation that's quietly crumbling beneath your feet. The meeting wrapped up around 3:15. Handshakes all around. My CFO patted me on the back about the strong numbers. I grabbed my phone and saw 3 texts from my wife, Lauren. The first 2 were innocuous. Reminder about her sister's wedding this weekend. Something about picking up dry cleaning. Then the third message. Just a heads up, I told everyone we're taking a break. I read it 3 times. Standing there in the empty conference room with sunlight streaming through the floor to ceiling windows. The words didn't change. I called her immediately. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. I tried again. Same result. That's when I knew this wasn't a miscommunication or some weird autocorrect situation. Lauren had decided we were taking a break and announced it to our entire social circle without a single conversation with me about it. I texted back. 4 words. Thanks for letting me know. Then I sat down in my office and started making plans. Not plans to win her back. Not plans to figure out what went wrong. Plans to make her casual announcement very, very permanent. Lauren and I had been married for 11 years. We met at a friend's barbecue when I was 28 and she was 25. She worked in event planning at a downtown hotel. Had this way of commanding a room that I found magnetic. When she talked about coordinating weddings and corporate events, her eyes lit up with genuine passion. I fell hard and fast. Within 6 months, we were living together. Within a year, I proposed on a beach in Galveston with a ring I'd saved 3 months to afford. The early years were good, really good. We supported each other's careers. She helped me land my first major client by introducing me to her hotel's corporate accounts manager. I helped her transition from hotel work to starting her own event planning company. We bought a house in Westlake Hills, got a golden retriever named Ranger, hosted dinner parties where everyone said we were the perfect couple. But something shifted around year 7. Lauren's business took off. She was planning high-end weddings for Austin's elite, working weekends, taking calls at all hours. I understood it. My business had required the same obsessive dedication in its early days. But she started treating our relationship like another item on her checklist. Date night became something she scheduled between client meetings and venue walkthroughs. Conversations became logistics about who was picking up groceries or paying the electric bill. 6 months ago, I noticed she'd changed her phone password. Small thing, but significant. When I asked why, she said she'd been getting spam calls and wanted better security. Reasonable explanation. Except she also started taking her phone to the bathroom. To the garage when she got home from work. On her morning walks with Ranger where she used to leave it on the kitchen counter. Then there were the girls' weekends. Lauren had always been close with her sister Bethany and a tight group of college friends. Monthly brunches, occasional spa days. But suddenly she needed weekend trips to Fredericksburg wine country, to San Antonio for a festival, to Houston to help a friend with some vague crisis. I never questioned it. She'd supported my business trips for years. Why would I begrudge her the same freedom? The biggest red flag was how she talked about her male clients. There was always one guy in particular. Trevor Ashford, real estate developer planning his daughter's wedding. Lauren mentioned him constantly. Trevor thinks we should do this. Trevor suggested that venue. Trevor has such sophisticated taste for a businessman. The way she said his name started to bother me. Too familiar, too warm, like she was tasting something sweet. But I didn't confront her. Maybe I should have. Maybe if I'd asked the hard questions, we could have worked through whatever was happening. But I was raised by parents who believed you don't go looking for problems. If your marriage seems fine on the surface, you don't start digging for rot underneath. So I ignored the small signs. The distance, the phone habits, the way she stopped really seeing me when I walked into a room. Then came that text. The one that told me Lauren had already decided our marriage was over and didn't even have the respect to tell me first. I didn't go home after work that Tuesday. I drove to my brother's apartment in South Austin. Tyler was 2 years younger than me, worked as a graphic designer for a tech startup, and had gone through his own messy divorce 3 years earlier. If anyone would understand what I was about to do, it was him. "She did what?" Tyler said when I told him about the text. He was sitting at his kitchen table with a beer in hand and his jaw literally dropped open. "Announced to everyone that we're on a break, without talking to me about it first." "And by everyone, you mean?" "Her friends. My friends. Probably her family. Hell, for all I know, she posted it on Facebook." Tyler leaned back in his chair and let out a low whistle. "Dude, that's ice cold." "Yeah." "What did you say back?" "Thanks for letting me know," Tyler grinned. It was a mean grin. The kind of expression that meant he understood exactly where my head was at. "So, you're not fighting for the marriage? Would you?" He considered this for a moment. No, I would not. If someone decides you're done without even giving you a vote, there's nothing to fight for." "Exactly." We spent the next 2 hours mapping out my strategy. Tyler had learned some hard lessons from his divorce. Things like document everything, secure your assets, and never let emotion drive your decisions. I took notes on my phone while he talked. By the time I left his apartment around 11 p.m., I had a plan. First thing the next morning, I called my attorney. Richard Park specialized in high-asset divorces. He was expensive, thorough, and had a reputation for protecting his clients from getting destroyed in court. His office was in a glass tower downtown with views of the Capitol building. "Connor," Richard said when his assistant showed me in. "Good to see you, though I'm guessing this isn't a social call. I need to file for divorce." Richard didn't even blink. He pulled out a legal pad and started taking notes. "Tell me everything." I walked him through the situation. The text, Lauren's recent behavior, my suspicions about this Trevor person. Richard listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes or nodding. "Here's what we're going to do," Richard said when I finished. "We're filing immediately, today if possible. We're going to establish that you initiated the divorce, not her. That matters for narrative control." "What about the house?" "What about it?" "It's in both our names, but I paid the down payment with money from my business before we got married." Richard made a note. "We'll need documentation of that. Bank statements, closing documents, anything that shows the source of funds." "I have all of it." "Good. What about her business?" "She started it during our marriage. I helped fund the initial setup. Equipment, website, marketing materials. Probably put in about 40 grand total." Richard's eyebrow went up. "Did you get any ownership stake in return?" "No, I just wanted to support her dream." "Well, that was generous of you, and legally it means you may have a claim to some of the business value, especially if you can prove your financial contributions were investments rather than gifts." If you enjoyed this story and want to see more like it, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more content about the real, raw moments that define our lives. And drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, or if you've ever experienced something similar. And of course, hit that like button because it really does make a difference. Now let's get back to Connor's story. I spent the rest of Wednesday gathering documentation, bank statements going back to before we got married, receipts for the equipment I'd bought for Lauren's business, text messages where she'd thanked me for my financial support, email chains discussing business decisions. Richard wanted everything, and I was going to give it to him. Thursday morning, Lauren finally called. I was in my office reviewing a client proposal when her name appeared on my screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Connor?" she said. Her voice had that carefully modulated tone she used when talking to difficult clients. "We need to talk." "Do we?" "About the text. I think maybe you misunderstood." I leaned back in my chair. "What exactly did I misunderstand about you telling everyone we're on a break?" "I didn't mean it like a permanent thing. I just needed some space to think, to figure out what I want." "And you figured that out without discussing it with me first?" Silence. Then, "I thought it would be easier this way, less confrontational." "Easier for who, Lauren?" More silence. I could practically hear her recalculating her approach. "Connor, I don't want this to turn into some big dramatic thing. Can we just talk like adults? Sure, let's talk. Are you having an affair with Trevor Ashford? The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know. It lasted so long I thought she might have hung up. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. How did you know his name? You've been talking about him for months. Trevor this, Trevor that. It wasn't hard to figure out. It's not what you think. It never is. Connor, please. Can we meet somewhere? Have a real conversation face to face? No. No? You already announced we're on a break. I'm just making it official. You'll be served with divorce papers by end of business tomorrow. I heard her sharp intake of breath. You're filing for divorce? What did you think was going to happen? You make a unilateral decision about our marriage, probably because you've been sleeping with one of your clients, and I'm supposed to just wait around while you figure out what you want? That's not fair. Fair would have been you being honest with me 6 months ago when this started. Fair would have been you having the guts to ask for a divorce before you moved on to the next guy. But you didn't do any of that. So now we do this my way. Connor, wait. I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly, but I felt clearer than I had in months, maybe years. This was the right decision. The only decision. Lauren's sister Bethany's wedding was Saturday evening at a venue in the Hill Country. Ironically, Lauren had helped plan it. She'd been coordinating with vendors for months, discussing floral arrangements and seating charts at our dinner table. The wedding was supposed to be her crowning achievement, proof that she could deliver perfection, even for family. Richard served the divorce papers Friday afternoon at Lauren's office. Professional process server. Everything by the book. I knew because Richard texted me a photo of the signed receipt. Delivered at 3:42 p.m., his message said. She didn't take it well. Lauren called me 17 times that evening. I didn't answer. She left voicemails that progressed from confused to angry to desperate. Connor, please pick up. This is insane. We need to talk. You're making a huge mistake. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. Just answer your phone. I listened to each voicemail once, saved them for documentation purposes, and went back to work. My company wasn't going to run itself, and staying busy kept me from thinking too hard about the fact that my 11-year marriage had just officially ended. Saturday morning, Lauren texted, I know you're planning to change your Facebook relationship status. Please don't do it today. It's Bethany's wedding. Don't ruin her day. Interesting. She knew me well enough to guess my next move, but she was wrong about the timing. I wasn't planning to change anything on Facebook. That would be petty, childish, the kind of move someone makes when they're trying to hurt their ex. No, what I had planned was much simpler and much more effective. The wedding was at 6 p.m. I knew this because the invitation had been on our refrigerator for 4 months. I also knew that cocktail hour started at 5 p.m. and that most of the guests would be arriving between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. Extended family, friends, co-workers, Lauren's entire social network would be gathered in one place. At 4:45 p.m., sitting in my home office with Ranger sleeping at my feet, I opened Facebook. My relationship status still said, married to Lauren Matthews. Below it, 347 friends could see my relationship information. I clicked Edit, changed it to Single, and hit Save. Facebook does this helpful thing where it announces major life changes to your entire network. Connor Matthews is now single. The notification went out to everyone, including the 89 mutual friends Lauren and I shared, including everyone currently gathering at Bethany's wedding with their phones in their pockets. I watched my phone light up with notifications, concerned messages from friends, confused comments on the status change. Wait, what? Are you okay? OMG, what happened? I didn't respond to any of them, just watched the chaos unfold in real time. Then my brother called. Dude, Tyler said, laughing. I just saw your Facebook, you're evil. Just being honest about my relationship status. Lauren's going to lose her mind. Probably. You know she's at the wedding right now, right? I'm aware. Tyler's laugh got louder. Oh man, this is legendary. Call me later with updates. The first real update came at 5:17 p.m. My phone rang with an unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. Connor? It was Bethany, Lauren's sister. She sounded furious. What the hell are you doing? Bethany, congratulations on your wedding. Don't give me that. Did you seriously just announce your divorce on Facebook during my cocktail hour? I announced that I'm single. It's the truth. You couldn't wait. One day? One single day to let me have my wedding without drama? I'm not the one who created the drama, Bethany. Your sister did that when she decided to take a break without discussing it with me first. I'm just being transparent about where we stand. Lauren is hysterical. She locked herself in the bridal suite bathroom. My maid of honor is trying to calm her down. Half the guests are on their phones gossiping about your marriage instead of celebrating mine. I'm sorry your sister's choices are affecting your day. You're a real piece of work, Connor. I always thought you were the good guy. Guess I was wrong. She hung up. I felt a small pang of guilt about Bethany. She wasn't the villain here, but she'd also chosen to believe Lauren's version of events without asking for mine. That was her choice. My phone kept buzzing. More messages, more comments, more questions. Around 6 p.m., I posted a simple status update. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is accept reality instead of fighting for something that's already gone. Lauren announced to everyone that we're taking a break. I'm making it permanent. I wish her well. Short, classy, and just vague enough to make people want more details without actually providing ammunition for Lauren to use against me. Richard would approve. The next call came from Lauren's mother, Patricia. This should be interesting. Connor, Patricia said when I answered. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. I just got off the phone with Lauren. She says you filed for divorce. That's correct. Don't you think that's a bit hasty? Hasty? Your daughter told everyone we're taking a break without even talking to me about it first. She's been having an affair. And when I found out, she didn't apologize or try to fix things. She just asked for space. So no, I don't think divorce is hasty. I think it's appropriate. Patricia was silent for a moment. Lauren says there's no affair. Lauren lies. That's a terrible thing to say about your wife. She stopped being my wife the moment she decided to tell everyone we're on a break. She just didn't bother to tell me I wasn't her husband anymore. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Patricia made a frustrated sound. This is going to destroy Lauren. She's devastated. She should have thought about that before she sent that text. Can't you at least consider counseling? Give her a chance to explain? No, we're done, Patricia. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle, but this isn't negotiable. After I hung up with Patricia, I poured myself a bourbon and sat on my back deck. Ranger came out and put his head on my knee. The sun was setting over the hill country. Somewhere out there, Bethany's wedding was probably moving into the reception phase. Lauren was probably still dealing with the fallout of my Facebook announcement. And I was sitting at home, finally at peace with a decision I should have made months ago. The texts started coming in from mutual friends around 8 p.m. Most wanted to know what happened. Some took sides. A few tried to play mediator. I responded to the ones I cared about with simple messages. Lauren and I are getting divorced. I'd appreciate privacy while we work through the details. Thanks for your concern. Then came a message from someone unexpected, Trevor Ashford. Connor, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding. Lauren and I are just friends. Nothing inappropriate happened. I stared at that message for a long time. Trevor Ashford, the real estate developer. The man Lauren couldn't stop talking about. The man she'd probably been sleeping with while telling me everything was fine. And now he had the audacity to message me directly. I typed back 4 words. Tell it to my lawyer. Then I blocked his number. Sunday morning, I woke up to find my Facebook post had been shared 23 times, commented on by over 100 people. The general consensus seemed to be split. Half the people thought I was justified. The other half thought I was being vindictive by airing my personal life so publicly. I didn't care about either opinion. The post had served its purpose. Lauren's friend Monica called around 10 a.m. She'd been a bridesmaid in our wedding, had always seemed to like me well enough. Her voice was careful when I answered. Connor, hey, I just wanted to check on you, see how you're doing. I'm fine, Monica. Thanks for asking. This whole situation with Lauren, it's just so sudden. Nobody saw it coming. I saw it coming. Just took me a while to accept it. Monica hesitated. Can I ask you something between us? Sure. Did something specific happen? Or was this building for a while? I appreciated the direct question. Building for a while. But the text she sent announcing we're on a break, that was the last straw. You don't make unilateral decisions about a marriage and expect the other person to just go along with it. Yeah, that text was pretty brutal. A few of us tried to tell her it was a bad idea to send it without talking to you first. This caught my attention. You knew she was planning to send it? Not exactly, but she's been talking for weeks about needing space, about feeling trapped. Some of us tried to encourage her to have an actual conversation with you instead of just announcing a decision. But she didn't take that advice. No, she said you wouldn't understand, that you'd try to fix things instead of letting her figure out what she wanted. I leaned back against my kitchen counter. Monica, I want you to understand something. I would have understood. If Lauren had come to me 6 months ago and said she was unhappy, we could have worked on it, gone to counseling, made changes, but she didn't give me that chance. She just checked out emotionally and started looking for something better. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation. Monica was quiet for a moment. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this the right way. Lauren made her choice. You're just respecting it. Thanks, Monica. I appreciate you calling. After we hung up, I realized something important. The narrative was spreading. People were starting to understand what actually happened. Lauren had tried to control the story by announcing we're on a break, but I'd taken that control back by filing for divorce and being honest about why. She wanted space to explore her options. I gave her permanent space. Monday morning, I was back at the office. Work was a welcome distraction. My assistant, Jennifer, knocked on my door around 9 a.m. with my coffee and a sympathetic expression. Heard about the weekend, she said, setting the mug on my desk. You doing okay? Better than expected, actually. Good, because there's someone here to see you. Says it's personal. Name's Trevor Ashford. My jaw tightened. Tell him I'm not available. Already did. He says he'll wait. Been in the lobby for 20 minutes. I considered having security remove him, but curiosity won out. I wanted to see what the man who'd helped destroy my marriage looked like face to face. Give me 5 minutes, then send him in. Trevor Ashford was exactly what I expected. Mid-40s. Expensive suit. The kind of handshake that tried too hard to establish dominance. He had that real estate developer confidence. The swagger of a man used to getting what he wanted. Connor, he said, settling into the chair across from my desk without being invited. Thanks for seeing me. I'm only seeing you because I'm curious what you could possibly have to say. I want to clear the air. This whole situation with Lauren has gotten out of hand. Gotten out of hand? You slept with my wife. That's not exactly true. I leaned forward. Then what exactly is true? Trevor shifted in his seat. Lauren and I developed a friendship. She was planning my daughter's wedding. We spent a lot of time together. Yes, there was an attraction, but we never crossed any lines. So you're saying you didn't sleep with her? I'm saying nothing physical happened. Emotional affair is still an affair, Trevor. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. Look, I didn't come here to argue semantics. I came because Lauren's a wreck. She feels terrible about how things went down. She wants to talk to you, but you won't answer her calls. That's correct, because we have nothing to talk about. She made her choice. I made mine. We're done. She made a mistake. People are allowed to make mistakes. Sure they are. And other people are allowed to walk away from those mistakes instead of accepting them. Trevor stood up. You're being unreasonable. No, I'm being clear about my boundaries. Lauren decided she wanted out. Fine, she's out. But she doesn't get to control the terms. She doesn't get to keep me on standby while she figures out if the grass is greener with you. That's not how this works. She loves you. She loves the security I provided, the lifestyle, the status of being married to a successful businessman. What she doesn't love is actually being married to me. There's a difference. Trevor looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. You're smarter than she gave you credit for. Yeah, well, she should have thought about that before she sent that text. After Trevor left, I sat in my office feeling surprisingly calm. I'd just confronted the man my wife had emotional feelings for, possibly physical ones too. And instead of anger, I felt vindication. Everything I'd suspected was true. Lauren had checked out of our marriage long before she sent that text. I was just the last one to know. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Richard was efficient. Lauren's attorney tried to slow things down, arguing that she deserved spousal support because she'd supported my career in the early years. Richard countered with documentation showing I'd invested $40,000 into her business with no ownership stake or expectation of return. That I'd paid for the house down payment with premarital assets. That Lauren's business was now generating significant income, making spousal support unnecessary. 3 months later, we reached a settlement. Lauren kept her business and the equipment I'd purchased. I kept the house and the majority of our joint savings. We split the rest evenly. No spousal support either direction. Clean break. The day the divorce was finalized, Tyler took me out for drinks. We sat at a bar downtown, watching the sunset reflect off the glass towers. "How you feeling?" Tyler asked. "Lighter," I said, and I meant it. Like I've been carrying something heavy for years and finally put it down. "Think you'll ever talk to her again?" "Probably not. There's nothing left to say." "What about Trevor?" "What about him?" "You think they're together?" I shrugged. "Don't know. Don't care. That's her life now. Not my problem." Tyler raised his beer. "To new beginnings. To new beginnings." 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Monica at a coffee shop. She was with a few other friends from the old days. Women I'd known through Lauren. The conversation was initially awkward, but Monica broke the ice. "Connor, you look good. Really good." "Thanks. Feel good too. Heard you sold the house." "Yeah, too many memories. Bought a condo downtown. Better for my lifestyle now." One of the other women, Sarah, leaned in. "Can I ask, do you ever regret how it all went down? The Facebook thing, the timing with the wedding?" I thought about this carefully. No, Lauren made a choice to announce our relationship status without consulting me. I made a choice to take control of the narrative. Could I have handled it more privately? Sure, but she didn't give me privacy when she told everyone we're on a break. So no, I don't regret it. Monica nodded. For what it's worth, most people understood why you did it, even if some thought it was harsh. What about Lauren? How's she doing? The women exchanged glances. Monica spoke carefully. She's okay. Event planning business is still going strong. She and Trevor tried to make it work, but it fell apart after about 3 months. Fell apart how? Turns out the fantasy was better than the reality. Who knew? Monica's voice had an edge to it. Trevor wanted someone who'd drop everything for him. Lauren wanted someone who'd support her career the way you did. Neither one got what they wanted. I felt a flicker of something. Not satisfaction exactly, but vindication. Lauren had thrown away a stable marriage for an uncertain fantasy, and the fantasy had disappointed her. Maybe that should have made me feel good. Instead, it just made me sad. All that wasted time, all that pain, for nothing. I hope she finds what she's looking for, I said. And I meant it. A year after the divorce, I was having dinner with my father at his favorite steakhouse. Dad was in his late 60s now, retired from his law practice, spending his time playing golf and spoiling his grandkids from my sister's marriage. "You seem different," Dad said, cutting into his ribeye. "More settled." "I am more settled." "You dating anyone?" "Casually, nothing serious. Not ready for serious yet." Dad nodded. "Smart. Take your time. The right one will come along when you're ready." "You think I did the right thing? With Lauren?" Dad set down his fork and looked at me. Really looked at me. "Son, I've been a divorce attorney for 40 years. I've seen every variation of how marriages end. And I can tell you this, when one person decides they're done, the marriage is over. The only question is whether the other person accepts it gracefully or fights a losing battle. You accepted it gracefully. That took strength. Didn't feel graceful at the time. Strength rarely does." Dad picked up his fork again. "Your mother and I, we had our rough patches. Marriage is work. But the key is, both people have to want to do the work. If one person checks out, there's nothing the other person can do to fix it." Lauren checked out long before she sent that text. "I know. And you recognized it. That's wisdom, son. Not weakness." 2 years after the divorce, I was genuinely happy. My business had expanded into 2 new markets. I'd started dating a woman named Claire who worked in nonprofit management. She was kind, direct, and had no interest in playing games. We took things slow. No rush, no pressure. Just two adults building something real. I'd sold the company I built with Lauren's initial support and started a new venture. This one was entirely mine. No shared history, no complicated emotions, just clean slate. One evening, I got a message on LinkedIn. It was from Lauren. "Connor, I know we haven't talked in a long time, but I wanted to reach out and say I'm sorry. For everything. For the text, for how I handled things, for not being honest when I should have been. You deserved better. I hope you're doing well." I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond with something cutting, reminder of all the pain she'd caused. But mostly I just felt tired of carrying old resentments, tired of defining myself by what had ended instead of what was beginning. I typed back, "Lauren, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm doing really well. I hope you are too. What happened between us needed to happen. We weren't right for each other anymore. I hope you found peace with it. Take care." Short, civil, final. I hit send and closed the laptop. Ranger was sleeping at my feet. Claire was coming over for dinner in an hour. My life was full of things that mattered. Lauren was just a chapter that had closed. Not forgotten, but no longer defining my story. That text she sent, the one that ended everything, was actually the beginning of everything. The beginning of me taking control of my life. The beginning of me understanding my worth. The beginning of me choosing myself instead of waiting for someone else to choose me. "Thanks for letting me know," I'd texted back. 4 words that changed my life. 4 words that meant I wasn't going to be a passive participant in my own story anymore. Best 4 words I ever wrote. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think about relationships, respect, and knowing when to walk away, please share it. Leave a comment about your own experiences or what you'd do in this situation. And subscribe so you don't miss more stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. Sometimes the end of something is really the beginning of something better. You just have to be brave enough to close the door.